Listen to me with every fiber of your being, because this moment is not ordinary. This hour is not accidental. And what you are hearing right now is not coincidence. God is speaking into your situation, into your struggle, into your silent questions, and God is declaring that the season of lack is breaking and the door of provision is opening. And on the 7th of January, something shifts in the unseen that will manifest in the seen for those who have ears to hear and hearts bold enough to believe. I am not speaking to people who are comfortable. I am speaking to those who have prayed with tears, who have worked with exhaustion, who have hoped while being disappointed, who have believed while being mocked, who have trusted God when numbers did not add up and resources did not respond. You have carried a weight that others did not see. You have smiled when your bank account was crying. You have stood strong when your finances were shaking. But hear this clearly and let it burn into your spirit. God has not forgotten you. God has not delayed you. And God has not denied you. God has been preparing you. There are seasons when God allows pressure not to destroy you, but to enlarge you. There are moments when God allows emptiness so that when He fills, there is room for abundance. Many people misunderstand delay and think it is rejection, but delay in the hands of God is divine alignment. God never works randomly. God never releases provision without purpose. God never opens a door without first shaping the one who will walk through it. And that is why this message is not for everyone. It is for those who have endured, who have remained faithful when nothing made sense, who have refused to curse God in the valley. God is not a distant observer of your financial condition. God is not indifferent to your needs. God sees the bills you hide. God hears the prayers you whisper at night. God knows the responsibilities on your shoulders. God understands the fear you don't talk about. And I declare with authority that the same God who formed the universe with a word is fully capable of restructuring your financial story with a command. What you call impossible, God calls simple. What you call overdue, God calls perfectly timed. There is a law in the spiritual realm that many ignore. What you believe consistently, you attract eventually. God responds to faith that is anchored, not emotional. Faith is not excitement. Faith is conviction. Faith is not noise. Faith is certainty. When you align your inner vision with God's promise, the external world must adjust. Circumstances do not lead God. God leads circumstances. Money does not control destiny. God does. Systems do not limit provision. God overrides systems. I am telling you that the 7th of January is not just another date on the calendar. It is a divine marker. It is a moment when God releases help that has been held back, not by reluctance, but by readiness. Some of you were not ready last year. Your mindset was too small for what God intended to release. Your discipline was not prepared to steward what God wanted to send, but something has changed. Pressure has refined you. Waiting has matured you. Disappointment has sharpened your discernment. And now God says you are ready. God does not release financial help just to make people comfortable. God releases provision to establish purpose. When God blesses financially, it is not merely to pay debts, but to break limitations. It is not merely to survive, but to advance. It is not merely to accumulate, but to influence. And that is why God has been watching how you handled little. God observed your attitude in lack. God measured your gratitude in scarcity. God examined your integrity when nobody was watching. Some people pray for money but secretly fear responsibility. Others want abundance but resist discipline. But God blesses those who understand that provision is partnership. When God supplies, He expects alignment. When God releases, He expects obedience. When God opens heaven, He expects humility. And I sense strongly that there are people reading this whose hearts are aligned, whose motives are purified, whose faith has been tested and proven. Do not measure what God is about to do by what you see right now. Do not judge the future by the present. God often begins financial miracles in invisible ways. A conversation, an idea, a favor, a decision, a connection, a sudden clarity. These are seeds of provision. Many miss miracles because they are waiting for dramatic signs, but God often moves quietly and powerfully at the same time. On the 7th of January, God is releasing financial help that will not come with confusion, but with peace. It will not come with chaos, but with clarity. It will not enslave you, but free you. This is not money that disappears as quickly as it comes. This is provision that establishes stability. This is help that restores dignity. This is supply that renews confidence. This is assistance that lifts your head and straightens your posture. You must understand this deeply. God is not responding to desperation. God is responding to faith. Desperation panics, but faith stands. Desperation begs, but faith declares. Desperation looks at problems, but faith looks at God. And when faith speaks, heaven listens. When faith rises, resources move. When faith aligns, doors open. There are people who will hear about your breakthrough and say it was luck. Others will say it was timing, but you will know it was God. You will know because it will arrive with precision. You will know because it will answer prayers you prayed years ago. You will know because it will resolve problems that logic could not solve. You will know because it will carry a peace that money alone cannot produce. I want you to remove from your mind the idea that you are behind, that you are late, that you have missed your chance. God does not operate on human clocks. God redeems time. God accelerates restoration. God compresses years into moments. What you lost in one season can be restored in another with supernatural speed. And when God restores, He does end. OT, restore halfway. Some of you have been blaming yourself excessively. Yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you trusted wrong people. Yes, you took steps that did not work. But hear me clearly, God is greater than your errors. God is not intimidated by your past. God does not cancel destiny because of failure. God uses broken pieces to build stronger foundations. What matters now is alignment, not regret. As the 7th of January approaches, your posture must change. Stop speaking lack. Stop rehearsing defeat. Stop agreeing with fear. Your words are containers. They either carry faith or carry limitation. Speak what God has promised, not what circumstances suggest. Speak provision, not poverty. Speak order, not chaos. Speak confidence, not doubt. God is releasing financial help to those who are prepared to move when instruction comes. Some will receive an opportunity that requires courage. Others will receive a responsibility that requires discipline. Some will be called to act quickly. Others will be required to wait strategically. But in every case, obedience will be the key that unlocks continuation. I sense strongly that some of you will experience unexpected debt relief. Others will receive sudden income. Others will encounter divine favor that opens professional doors. Others will be given ideas that produce sustainable wealth. God's methods are diverse, but God's intention is clear: to lift you out of survival mode and establish you in stability. This is not a message to make you emotional. This is a message to activate your spirit. Emotional excitement fades, but spiritual conviction endures. Anchor your belief in God's character, not in external evidence. God has need. Are failed to provide for those who trust Him fully. History, testimony, and personal experience all confirm this truth. As you move toward this appointed time, guard your heart. Avoid voices that drain faith. Avoid environments that reinforce fear. Surround your mind with truth. Feed your spirit with expectation. Anticipation is a form of faith, and faith attracts fulfillment. I declare that confusion is leaving your financial decisions. I declare that wisdom is rising in your planning. I declare that fear is losing its grip on your choices. I declare that clarity is entering your thoughts. These are signs that provision is near. God always prepares the inner world before changing the outer world. Some of you are about to experience restoration of confidence that money stole from you. Others will regain joy that stress suppressed. Others will sleep peacefully again. Financial help from God does not only change numbers, it changes atmosphere. It restores peace, to homes. It brings order to relationships. It renews hope for the future. Remember this always. God is your source. Not any system, not any employer, not any institution. Those are channels, and channels can change, but the source remains constant. When your trust is rooted in God, you are never dependent on one door, because God has access to doors you cannot see. The 7th of January marks a shift, but shifts must be recognized to be maximized. Be alert, be sensitive, be responsive. God often whispers before He demonstrates. Do not ignore the quiet promptings. Do not dismiss the simple instructions. Do not underestimate small beginnings, because God specializes in multiplying what others overlook. Your season of stretching is producing capacity. Your season of pressure is producing strength. Your season of waiting is producing endurance. And now God is preparing to reward faithfulness with provision, obedience with opportunity, trust with tangible help that will speak louder than explanations ever could. And as this truth settles into your spirit, let expectation rise, let fear fall away, let confidence take root, because what God has prepared is already in motion, already aligned, already assigned, already moving towards you, as heaven and earth respond to the certainty of God's promise unfolding in real time. As you stand on the edge of what has been declared and step forward believing that what God has spoken cannot be reversed, delayed, or denied, as faith rises and the unseen prepares to manifest in ways that will leave no doubt that God alone is the author of what is coming next. What many fail to understand is that financial struggle is not merely an external battle, it is first an internal confrontation. God always addresses the inner condition before altering the outer condition. When God prepares to release help, He first reshapes how you think, how you perceive value, how you interpret opportunity, and how you respond to pressure. This is why some people receive resources and lose them quickly, while others receive less and multiply it powerfully. The difference is not luck, it is alignment with God's wisdom. God is a God of order, not confusion. Disorder repels increase, but alignment attracts it. When your priorities are clear, your decisions disciplined, and your heart steady, provision recognizes where it belongs. This is not about perfection, it is about direction. God is not looking for flawless people, but He is looking for focused people. Those who can carry responsibility without arrogance and blessing without forgetting the source. I speak now to those who have been discouraged by comparison. You have looked at others advancing while you felt stagnant. You have wondered why your efforts seemed invisible while others were celebrated. But comparison is a thief of discernment. God never measures you against another person. God measures you against purpose. What looks slow to you may be precise to God. What feels delayed may be protected. What seems unfair may be forming resilience that money alone cannot buy. God does not rush because God is never late. Every step is calculated, every moment intentional. When God releases financial help, it will arrive with accuracy. It will meet the exact need at the exact time through the exact channel. That is why you must stop panicking and start trusting. Anxiety clouds perception, but trust sharpens it. Calm faith hears instructions that panic drowns out. Some of you have been praying for provision while resisting transformation. But God's help often comes disguised as change, a new direction, a difficult decision, an uncomfortable adjustment. Growth rarely feels convenient, but it is always rewarding. If you cling to familiarity, you may miss expansion. God will not pour new supply into old patterns that cannot sustain it. As the appointed time draws closer, I urge you to examine your internal language. What you say consistently reveals what you believe deeply. If your speech is saturated with fear, your faith is underfed. But if your words are filled with expectation, your spirit is aligned. Speak in agreement with what God is doing, not with what you have endured. The past may explain you, but it does not define you. God is releasing financial help, not just to relieve pressure, but to reposition you. This is about movement, not maintenance. This is about stepping into roles you once felt unqualified for. This is about accepting responsibilities you once avoided. God's provision often expands your influence, and influence demands maturity. Be ready to lead your resources instead of being led by them. There is a reason God allowed you to feel the weight of lack. It taught you empathy. It refined your values. It stripped away entitlement. Now, when increase comes, it will rest on humility, not pride. You will remember what it felt like to struggle, and that memory will keep your heart grounded even as your circumstances rise. Do not underestimate the power of gratitude in attracting increase. Gratitude acknowledges God as the source, and God responds to honor. Complaining focuses on absence. But gratitude magnifies presence. Even now, there are signs of provision around you that you may have overlooked. Awareness precedes abundance. When you recognize what God is already doing, you position yourself to receive more. Some of you are standing at the edge of decisions that feel intimidating. You fear making the wrong move. But understand this, paralysis is more dangerous than imperfect action guided by faith. God honors movement. When you step forward with sincerity and trust, direction becomes clearer. Provision often follows obedience, not before it. The help God is releasing will not enslave you with stress. It will liberate you with wisdom. It will not control you. It will empower you. True provision from God carries peace, not pressure. If you are pursuing robs you of peace, reconsider whether it aligns with God's intention. God's supply strengthens your soul as well as your stability. I sense that some of you are about to experience restoration of credibility. Financial strain damaged your confidence and affected how others perceived you. But God is about to restore trust, reputation, and standing. Doors that closed due to lack will open due to consistency and faithfulness. People will see not just your recovery, but your integrity. Remember that God often uses ordinary means to accomplish extraordinary results. Do not dismiss the small opportunity, the simple task, the modest beginning. Seeds do not announce the size of the harvest they carry. What matters is obedience in the planting. God multiplies what is surrendered with faith. Your responsibility now is to remain receptive. Pride blocks instruction, but humility attracts insight. When God speaks through intuition, through wisdom, through timely counsel, receive it without resistance. Financial help flows where teachability exists. Those who believe they already know enough limit what they can receive. As the moment approaches, let your heart remain steady. Avoid extremes of excitement and fear. Stability is a sign of trust. When you are anchored, you can discern clearly. God does not need emotional chaos to work miracles. God works best where faith is calm and confident. Some of you will look back on this period and realize it was the turning point. Not because everything changed instantly, but because something shifted internally. You stopped seeing yourself as lacking and began seeing yourself as entrusted. That shift changes how you act, how you choose, and how you steward. I declare that clarity is increasing in your financial vision. I declare that courage is rising in your decision making. I declare that discipline is strengthening in your habits. These are the foundations of sustainable provision. God does not just give, God establishes. You are not waiting for God to move. God has been waiting for alignment. And alignment is happening now. Your perspective is widening. Your faith is deepening. Your readiness is increasing. This is not coincidence. This is preparation. Stay attentive. Stay faithful. Stay grounded. What God is releasing is purposeful, timely, and transformative. And as you continue forward with trust anchored deeply in God, you will recognize that what is unfolding is not merely financial help, but a reordering of your life into greater stability, clarity, and confidence that will carry you far beyond what you once thought possible. There is a moment when faith must move from hope into agreement, when belief stops being a wish and becomes a posture. God does not respond to casual belief. God responds to alignment that is settled and unwavering. When your heart agrees with what God has declared, resistance begins to weaken. Opposition loses authority. Barriers that once felt immovable begin to fracture. This is because agreement is not passive. It is powerful. It positions you under the flow of what God is releasing. Many people misunderstand faith as optimism, but faith is far deeper. Faith is the decision to trust God's nature even when the outcome is not yet visible. Faith is choosing stability when emotions want to panic. Faith is holding your ground when uncertainty tries to push you backward. God honors this kind of faith because it reflects trust in who God is, not merely in what God can do. I want you to understand that financial help from God is never random. It follows principle. It flows through order. It respects wisdom. God does not violate divine structure to satisfy human impatience. That is why preparation matters. Preparation is faith in action. When you organize your life, your time, your responsibilities, you are sending a signal that you are ready to steward what is coming. Some of you are about to receive help that requires discretion. Not everyone needs to know what God is doing for you. Silence can be protection. God often works quietly to preserve progress. When increase begins, guard it carefully. Avoid unnecessary exposure. Growth thrives in environments of wisdom, not noise. There is also a call now to release resentment. Holding bitterness over past financial wounds creates resistance in the heart. Forgiveness is not approval of what happened. It is liberation from what held you. God cannot fill hands that are clenched with anger. Open your heart. Let go. What you release emotionally creates space for what God wants to release materially. God is also shifting how you perceive worth. You are not defined by what you have lacked. Scarcity does not reduce your value. God's investment in you is not based on your balance, but on your purpose. When you internalize this truth, confidence rises, and confidence changes how you negotiate, how you speak, how you step into opportunity. Provision often follows confidence that is rooted in God, not arrogance rooted in ego. Some of you are being invited into partnerships, collaborations, or responsibilities that require trust. Do not allow fear from past disappointments to cause you to retreat. Discernment does not mean isolation. Wisdom does not mean withdrawal. God often uses people as channels, but God remains the source. Trust God enough to engage wisely rather than hiding behind caution. There is a principle written deeply into spiritual law. What is managed well attracts expansion. How you treat what you have now speaks louder than what you ask for next. God watches stewardship, not just with money, but with time, with commitments, with integrity. When God sees consistency, increase follows naturally. I sense that some of you are about to receive clarity that feels sudden, but has been forming slowly. Insight will arrive, and suddenly you will see what you could not see before. Confusion will lift, direction will sharpen. This clarity is a form of provision. It saves you from wasted effort and misaligned pursuit. Thank God for clarity as much as for currency. Do not be surprised if help comes through unconventional ways. God is not limited by traditional systems. God can redirect paths, rearrange structures, and create opportunities where none existed. Stay flexible. Rigidity resists miracles, but adaptability welcomes them. When God shifts direction, move with humility, not stubbornness. Your responsibility in this season is to remain anchored. Emotional swings weaken discernment. Stay steady. Trust that what God has set in motion will reach completion. Doubt does not stop God, but it can delay your ability to receive fully. Choose trust repeatedly, even when you must remind yourself daily. Some of you have been carrying the burden of provision alone, believing you must figure everything out yourself. But God never intended for you to live under that weight. Surrender is not weakness, it is alignment. When you release control, God releases order. When you stop striving, wisdom rises. As the appointed time draws nearer, expect confirmation. God often confirms through peace, through repeated insight, through alignment of circumstances. Do not ignore these confirmations. They are signals that you are moving in harmony with what is being released. I speak to those who fear disappointment. Fear says, what if it doesn't happen? Faith says, God is faithful regardless. Anchor yourself there. Your security is not in the outcome, but in God's nature. And when that truth settles deeply, fear loses its voice. This season is not about excess without purpose. It is about sufficiency with stability. It is about relief that restores focus. It is about provision that allows you to breathe again, to think clearly, to plan wisely. God's help brings restoration to the whole person, not just the account. Remain attentive to instruction. Sometimes the next step will feel simple, almost ordinary. Do not overlook it. Great shifts often begin with small, obedient actions. When you respond promptly, momentum builds. When momentum builds, doors open naturally. You are not standing on the edge of chaos. You are standing at the threshold of order. What once felt unpredictable is being structured. What once felt fragile is being reinforced. God is establishing foundations that will hold under pressure. As you continue forward, let company, confidence replace hesitation. Let trust replace fear. Let wisdom guide every choice. God's hand is steady. God's timing is precise. God's intention is good. And as alignment deepens and faith remains firm, what is unfolding will continue to take shape in ways that affirm that God has been present in every step, guiding, preparing, and releasing exactly what is needed as the journey continues forward into greater stability and clarity without interruption, as purpose and provision move together in harmony. Now, hear this final charge with clarity and gravity, because moments like this demand response, not reflection alone. God is not speaking to entertain you. God is calling you to alignment. This is the hour to examine your life honestly, to look at your choices without excuses, to assess where fear has replaced trust and where comfort has delayed obedience. God is not condemning you. God is inviting you higher. But elevation requires surrender, and transformation begins when you are willing to let go of what no longer reflects who you are becoming. Stand before God with a willing heart and say that you are ready, not perfect, not fearless, but available. Availability moves heaven. When you place your life fully before God, nothing remains ordinary. Your work gains meaning, your decisions gain weight, your future gains direction. Do not wait for circumstances to change before you change your posture. Change begins inside, and when it does, the outer world must respond. Let this be the moment you stop surviving and start aligning. Stop drifting and start deciding. Stop reacting and start responding with wisdom. God is near to those who are sincere, attentive to those who are humble, and responsive to those who trust deeply. Walk closer to God, not with ritual, but with intention. Let your actions reflect your belief. Let your discipline reveal your faith. Let your courage demonstrate your trust. If you have been distant, return. If you have been distracted, refocus. If you have been fearful, stand. God is not asking for dramatic displays. God is asking for faithful steps. One step taken in trust can alter the course of your life. One decision made in alignment can open doors you never imagined. This is not about emotion. This is about resolve. Lift your vision beyond today. See yourself as God sees you. Capable, entrusted, prepared. Refuse to live beneath that vision. Refuse to agree with limitation. Refuse to let past seasons define future outcomes. God specializes in renewal. God restores what was worn down. God rebuilds what was broken. And when God establishes, nothing can undo it. Carry this truth with you. You are not walking alone. God goes before you, orders your steps, and sustains you through every transition. Let that assurance strengthen your spine and steady your heart. Move forward with integrity. Move forward with courage. Move forward with faith. anchored deeply in God, knowing that alignment has been set, purpose has been reaffirmed, and what God has initiated will continue unfolding with power, precision, and peace as you walk forward fully committed, fully trusting, and fully aligned with God's will and direction.